Hi, Dr. Zeshan. We are back with another episode. How are you today?
I am doing okay. I'm glad to be back.
Good. Well, I have, as always, one of these topics that are, a sensitive thing to go about. But I know we've talked about bullying in the past, and I started thinking about not only the child that is being bullied, but the child who is doing the bullying. So I wondered if you had some wisdom to share with us, beginning with how prevalent is bullying in this day and ages?
And thank you for asking, and thank you for talking about a bully because I feel like a lot of people talking about bullying and the victims of bullying, but not the bully itself, and realizing that the bully is also, a child and a teenager and might be going through some tough time. So to answer your the last question, I think in US, around 20% of children from age 12 to 18 have been bullied at some point in their life. And as far as the bully, I think, as I mentioned, that it's a huge and a very critical responsibility on the parent of a bully, how they react in that critical moment when everyone is telling them how mean, how bad, how disrespectful, how horrible, how, what kind of a monster or what kind of, the bad things, horrible thing their child has been doing. And it's not easy to hear those phone calls or those phone meetings. And as a parent, we try to hold our emotions in front of the teacher, in front of other parent, but we just let it out at home in front of a child, all that anger, all that resentment, all that, in the child who need you the most in that moment. And the reason I'm saying, yes, they did a horrible thing, but they may not be a horrible child. They did a mean act, the worst action that you may have thought, but they may not be a worst or a mean child. You know your child the best, but in that moment, your emotions may overwhelm or may cloud or may not even realize, what you are saying, what you are doing in that moment that is making even your child feeling worse. Every parent want their child to to not do that again and to learn as a lesson and to be kind. But in that moment, when it's a teaching moment, if we start shaming, guilting, punishing, then we are even distancing them from to achieve that goal. So what I would suggest is this 5-step approach for parents, which I have shared multiple times. Whenever you have that scenario, you always remind yourself, the more I stay calm, the better I can help my child.
Mhm.
You validate the feeling of your child. You seem pretty mad. You seem pretty, don't say you should embarrass. You should be ashamed. You said you seem pretty embarrassed. You seem pretty sad. It's, tell me a little bit what happened, although all the exaggerated, what the other parents or the teachers or maybe the right facts from the teachers and all this, but you ask your child, tell me a little bit more. Whatever your child say, you stop, you rephrase it, and then say to the child and then stop, and at least remind yourself, for 10 minutes I'm not going to put any suggestion or any advice or who was right, who was wrong. I will just going to listen for at least for 10 minutes, and I will keep rephrasing whatever the child is saying. Try to be more curious, try to be more exploratory. And I can tell the child or the teenager may lie, may try to say facts that may not be true, but at least they are seeing that you're trying to understand. And you can bring the, you are saying this, but the teacher is telling this, help me understand where is the difficulties. So you are, so you're not a stupid parent, and the child is realizing it, but also the child is seeing that my parents have tried to understand the situation. So
Right.
once you get a lot of information, then you can remind your child. I can see that the other child say these mean things, but you cannot hit them. You cannot say those mean things to them. You cannot make fun of them. You cannot. So you set clear boundaries. So you empathize, you listen, you validate, you set clear boundaries, and then remember, a bully wants to feel controlled, want to feel being recognized, want to feel other people to see their power. So you find some ways where the child can be seen, the child can be feel successful, the child can be feel significant. You can involve in some clubs, in some leadership, and you can take this an opportunity to reflect not what you have missed,
Hmm.
but what can you do to help your child to feel being recognized, and help your child how they can react in that situation when they felt the need to exert their power, and help them understand what are the consequences when they do it, but do it in a more nurturing rather than shaming or guilting them.
That makes a lot of sense. And I'm curious if there's any signs that we as parents can be on the lookout for to that can tell us, okay, our child is potentially engaging in some bullying behavior. Is there anything that we should look out for?
Yes, I think you will see even at home, at parties, at gathering, if a child is consistently trying to take control of the situation, not sharing, taking away things, without asking, pushing other kids, interrupting, not letting them talk. So, and then physically being, aggressive. So those are all subtle ways that if you find your child, you don't label them, you are mean, you just describe the behavior. I can see that you want to keep playing with that toy, but this is others someone else toy, or this is a shared toy that we need to share. I can see that you are telling other child that he, she, or they are small, they don't know what they are saying, but is there any other way we can tell them how to make those statements, because it hurts other feeling. So you can gently reminding them without labeling them, but just describing it, and then what they can do differently, giving them a tool what they can do differently. But if you find your child consistently being taking control, being angry, being irritable, pushing other people, interrupting, not letting them talk, making fun of other kids, those are all signs that we need to help our child.
That's really helpful. It's helpful for us to look out for because there's some things that we can see are happening and hearing you share that is just kind of solidifies for me like okay I've got it, I understand. And I'm just wondering if there is an underlying reason why a child might become a bully, if there's something that contributes to that.
I think sometime it may be a family dynamic. The child has been seeing, there is a, I'm not saying necessarily, but in case of domestic violence, if the child is not being heard, not being listened at home, or the way, they have seen this pattern that whenever someone do a wrong thing, the other person need to be punished, need to by raising voice, by hitting, by exerting their power. And also sometimes I have seen kids who have ADHD. Sometimes they are more impulsive, more high, and they are not realizing those situations. And sometimes we the kids may do just out of fun. They 2 3 kids, they find a child who's more vulnerable, and they have done something and that child got intimidated, so just out of curiosity, out of feeling good, out of being cool, out of so that people can see them as a more controlling, more cool, kids may do it. So there could be many reasons. Some come under the natural, their developmental phase, but some could be related to situation going on at home, or some underlying some behavioral problems as well.
Okay. And let's say we've identified that our child is engaging in that type of behavior, whether we're seeing it, we're seeing the signs, or maybe a parent called us and let us know that their child came and told them. How can we approach our child who is engaging in this behavior to talk to them about it without shaming and without guilting? That's a really touchy thing because you want to get upset because you know they're doing something that they shouldn't be doing.
I
How
think
can we approach in a supportive way?
that's such a good question, because in that moment you want to teach them a lesson. You want to tell them, how much their action have impacted the other child, and the child starting having nightmares and flashback, doesn't want to come school. And those all might be true, but in that moment, your child need you the most. So let's say you got a phone call from a parent, that your child have done so and so. So first you listen to them, again, reframe them, and ask how the child is doing. And parents sometimes may get really angry and they said, yeah, that's a horrible, so you just, okay, I mean, that seemed pretty horrible situation. And this is also something new for me. Do you have any suggestion how I can talk to my child? So you are giving some control, and you are making them sure that you are taking it seriously, and you are also asking for help, how you can help your child.
Mhm.
And now you go to your child. First, you take some deep breath. Don't go right away after that phone call to your child. Take some deep breath. When you are in some calm phase, then you will see what your child is doing. Maybe it's a evening time. You can just talk to the child. I have heard this from the other parent. Just want to know how, what, just want to see what's your opinion is. Just want to hear your side of the story. And I know it must be really hard to hear all those things, but I just want to share, so that you can be aware of it, what other people are feeling about your behavior. So I just want to get what actually happened. Whatever the child say, when they stop, you repeat what they say and ask more curious question. Then stop, do the same thing. Do at least 4 or 5 times before you try to see who was right, who was wrong, what could be the suggestion. So let's say you realize, that your child was actually a bully, was, being mean. So you can say, okay, I can see what you're trying to say, but you can also see, but that does not mean that you can be mean, you can be physical to others, you can hit, you can kick, or you can say all those things. I can see you were mad, but there are different ways to express your anger. I can see you want to feel cool, you want to feel, those things, but you can see that now, you're out of school, the school has suspended you, and a lot of other kids, the other parents are worried about you. So how can we help you so that you don't have to do this kind of behavior? And what can we do so that you can realize the consequences of your behavior, not only to the other child, but also on your own, the academic and your own acceptance within your friends. And then also brainstorm some of the activities where the child can feel being more autonomous, being more leader, being more in control, so that the child don't have to exert those, don't have to use the power in an unhealthy way to feel those, the autonomy, that leadership skills. And have a regular conversation. You say, is it okay if we touch base again in a week, how things are and what can he do? So those are a couple of suggestions I would suggest.
Okay. And are there any resources that you can share with us for parents of children who are engaging in this behavior and even just for bullying, period?
Yeah, I think there is a really good resource in US. It's called stopbullying.gov. It's available online. It has a lot of good facts for the age group as well. American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, American Academy of Pediatrics also have really good resources. I will also encourage you to reach out to school, to reach out to other parents, to see how to help and better support your child.
And lastly, just because I always love the wisdom that you share, and as a parent, I always feel so encouraged by you. Do you have some words to share with parents who may be facing this right now, that are feeling discouraged and feeling worried, on how to approach this and how to be with this knowledge that their child is engaging in this type of behavior?
I think in any tough situation, one thing that always I remind parents, in those situations, it's not about you, it's about your child. So no matter whatever you are feeling, all the hard work you have done, all the great you have done, and how much it is embarrassing and how much it is, what you are going through, I will say, just remind yourself to stay calm. When you are in a good calm phase, then go to your child and remind yourself that your child need you the most in that moment. We need to have some open dialogue, create some empathy, provide some, open discussion, but also create some clear boundaries and help them find some activities where they can be seen, feel significant, more in control, and keep reminding them, that you as a parent are always with them. But definitely you cannot tolerate, that if they are being disrespectful, if they are being mean, remind them they can make mistakes and you're always there to help,
Mhm.
but not to do it on a consistent pattern.
Thank you so much, Dr. Zeshan. I admire so much the work that you do, and I value so much your feedback, and especially because you have the ability to help me see the other side. And as I've shared before, as a parent who has children who have been bullied, it's not something that I've easily been able to do, is to see that there is another side, that there is another child involved, that there are other parents involved, and that this is difficult for them too. So thank you so much for sharing, and I look forward to the next time that we meet and get to chat again.
Likewise, thank you.